The morning Karen Voss turned our peaceful Tennessee cul-de-sac into a 5-car pileup with her illegal speed bumps was the day she thought she'd cement her iron grip on Meadowbrook Estates. She had no idea my Dashcam, a cheap $50 gadget wired to my beat-up Chevy, had captured every damning second of her scam more that I'd use it to send her to prison. My name's Marcus Reed, a small-town mechanic who spent years patching up cars and lives. And this is the story of how one HOA tyrant's obsession with control wrecked vehicles, hurt my sister, and pushed me to deliver a revenge so airtight it's still trending on X. If you're watching this while dodging your own HOA nightmare, drop a comment below and tell me what US city you're in. And if you're dealing with Karen-level bullshit like this, shoot me an email pinned in the first comment. Let's talk. 3 years ago, I packed up my life and moved to Meadowbrook Estates, a middle-class subdivision in Franklin, Tennessee, to be near my sister, Tanya. Our mom died of breast cancer when I was 15 and Tanya was 18, leaving us to scrape by in a rough Nashville neighborhood. Tanya raised me, working double shifts at a diner while I learned to fix cars in a friend's garage. She's my rock, the one who kept me out of trouble and cheered when I opened my own auto shop at 25. Now, Tanya's a single mom, raising her 10-year-old daughter, Chloe, on an ER nurse's salary. Her ex, a deadbeat who skipped town, left her with nothing but debt and a fierce love for Chloe. When I saw Meadowbrook's tidy homes, shaded streets, and a playground where Chloe could run free, I thought it was our chance at stability. The realtor hyped it as a family-friendly community with a minor HOA to keep things neat. I didn't ask questions, too focused on Tanya's tired eyes and Chloe's shy smile. That was my first mistake. Meadowbrook wasn't the haven I'd hoped. The HOA, led by Karen Voss, was a machine of petty tyranny. Karen, early 60s, with short gray curls and a wardrobe of pastel cardigans, looked like she'd bake you cookies. Instead, she'd fine you $50 for leaving a garden hose uncoiled. She patrolled our streets with a notebook, her pen scratching out violations like a judge passing sentences. I met her at a new resident meeting, where she droned for 20 minutes about uniform mailbox aesthetics and approved lawn ornaments. Her voice was all sugar, but her eyes were cold, sizing me up like I didn't belong. I'm a 34-year-old black mechanic with a faded tattoo and a trucker's cap, maybe not her idea of Meadowbrook material. Still, I shrugged it off. I'd dealt with worse than a nosy busybody. Then, on April 12, 2025, Karen's control fetish turned our quiet street into a battlefield. It was a foggy Saturday morning, the kind where the air feels thick and the world's edges blur. I was driving Tanya to the hospital for her 8 a.m. shift, Chloe buckled in the back seat, humming to a pop song. My Chevy's Dashcam, a 108 OP model I'd rigged to record 24/7s after a hit-and-run dented my bumper, was rolling as we turned onto Maple Drive, Meadowbrook's main artery. Tanya was venting about a chaotic night in the UGG-shot wounds. Overdoses, the usual, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "I just need one day off, Marcus," she said, rubbing her eyes. I promised to take Chloe to the park later, hoping to give her a break. That's when we hit it, a bone-rattling jolt that threw us forward, my seatbelt biting my chest. The car skidded, tires squealing, and my coffee mug shattered on the dash. "What the hell?" Tanya gasped, clutching the door. Chloe screamed, "Uncle Marcus!" Before I could process, a deafening crunch hit behind us, then another, and another, like dominoes falling. I slammed on the brakes, heart hammering, and checked the rear view. 5 cars, including ours, were mangled in a pileup, hoods crumpled, windshields cracked, airbags puffed out like ghosts in the fog. Chloe was crying, Tanya wincing as she held her arm. "Kiddo?" I asked Chloe, unbuckling to check her. She nodded, tear-streaked but unhurt. Tanya's face was tight with pain. "My arm's bad," Marcus. I jumped out, the fog, swallowing sound, and ran to the wreckage. A woman, Lisa, was sobbing in her SUV, her toddler strapped in a car seat, shaken but safe. An elderly man, Mr. Patel, slumped in his sedan, clutching his chest. Another driver, a college kid named Jake, was swearing, his pickup's front end smashed. Glass glittered on the asphalt, and the smell of burnt rubber stung my nose. I waved down a passing car to call 911, then spotted the culprit, a crude, unpainted concrete slab bolted into the road, barely visible in the fog. A speed bump, but not like any I'd seen. No reflective tape. No warning signs, just a jagged trap. Tanya. Ever the nurse limped out despite her pain, checking on Mr. Patel. He's disoriented. Maybe cardiac, she said, her voice steady, but strained. I helped her guide him to the curb, where she monitored his pulse until paramedics arrived. Lisa was shaking, muttering about her totaled car. Jake kicked his tire, yelling, "Who put this shit here?" I crouched by the bump, my mechanic's eye catching the sloppy drill marks and cheap bolts. This wasn't city work, or even HOA approved. Was a rush job thrown down to cause trouble? My dashcam would have caught it, maybe more. As sirens wailed closer, Karen Voss appeared, striding through the fog like a general surveying a battlefield. Her cardigan was pristine, her notebook ready. "Everyone, stay calm," she barked. "The HOA is handling this." "Handling what?" I stormed over, adrenaline spiking. "Karen, this speed bump caused the crash. It's unmarked, illegal weird." It come from her eyes, flicked to the slab, then back to me, cool as ice. "Mr. Reed, these traffic calming measures were installed last night for safety. Speeding's been a problem on Maple Drive. Safety. The bump was a hazard, built to wreck cars, not slow them." Tanya, arm cradled, overheard and snapped. "This wasn't here when I drove home at 4 a.m. Now I'm hurt, and so's half the street. Who authorized it?" Karen's smile didn't waver. "The HOA board, of course. We sent an email notice. Check your spam folder, dear." Dear. Tanya's glare could have melted steel, but Karen turned to the crowd, jotting notes like, she was above it all. I checked my email later, no notice, no vote, nothing. The group chat was a storm. Anyone else hit that bump, my alignments shot. Who approved this garbage? Karen posted, "The HOA installed temporary speed bumps to address reckless driving. We're investigating the incident." Refrain from speculation. Speculation. Tanya was in the ER with a fractured ulna. Mr. Patel was admitted for a heart attack, and Lisa's SUV was scrap. I pulled Tanya and Chloe aside as paramedics loaded Mr. Patel. My dashcam caught the crash, I said. "If this bump's illegal, Karen's done." Tanya nodded, pain etching her face. "Get her, Marcus. She can't keep hurting people." Chloe clung to her mom, whispering, "Is Aunt Tanya gonna be okay?" I hugged them both. "Yeah, kiddo. I'll fix this." Back home, I sat at my cluttered kitchen table, laptop open, and reviewed the footage. The dashcam showed the crash at 7:42 a.m., my Chevy hitting the slab, skidding, then the chain of collisions: Lisa's SUV, Mr. Patel's sedan, Jake's pickup, and a minivan. You could hear Chloe's scream, Tanya's gasp, and my curse as coffee flew. I rewound to 3:17 a.m. My jaw dropped. A pickup with an HOA logo parked on Maple Drive. 2 figures, 1 matching. Karen's short curls and cardigan were drilling the bump into the asphalt. No permits, no traffic cones, just a flashlight. And haste. I froze the frame. Karen's face was blurry, but her silhouette was unmistakable. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated move, and my camera had her dead to rights. I called Nate, my tow truck driver buddy, who'd been fined by Karen for parking his unsightly rig in his driveway. "Marcus, that bump's a lawsuit waiting to happen," he said, after I texted a photo. Tennessee law requires DOT permits for road changes even in HOAs. No way this got approved. I pulled up the HOA bylaws buried in a dusty binder from Move In, Section 7.3. Road modifications require 75% resident approval and city permits. Karen had skipped both, acting like Meadowbrook was her personal fiefdom. I posted in the group chat, "Careful not to tip my hand. Anyone get an email about the speed bumps? A dashcam shows them going in at 3 a.m. No permits." The chat exploded, neighbors furious, some sharing repair bills, others calling Karen out. Her reply was instant. "Mr. Reed, stop spreading misinformation. The bumps are temporary and compliant. Your reckless driving contributed to the incident." Reckless. I was doing 20 in a 25, cautious in the fog. She was gaslighting everyone. Tanya's hospital bill hit my inbox $1,000, with insurance balking because the crash was on private property. She couldn't work for 6 weeks, and her landlord was already sniffing around for rent. Chloe was quieter than usual, drawing sad faces in her sketchbook, asking if they'd have to move. My shop was barely breaking even. I couldn't float them long. Seeing Tanya, who'd sacrificed everything for me and Chloe, laid up in pain. And my niece, scared of losing their home, turned my anger into resolve. Karen wasn't just a control freak, she'd endangered lives and wrecked my family. I emailed her, copying the board. "Karen, the speed bumps are unpermitted and caused injuries. My dashcam shows you installing them. Remove them or I'm reporting this to the city." Her reply was pure venom. "Mr. Reed, your accusations are baseless. The HOA will pursue fines for your role in the accident. Cease your harassment." Monday. Brought a $1,500 HOA fine for endangering community safety and a lien threat on my house. Karen was betting I'd buckle under pressure. She didn't know I'd fixed cars for half the Franklin PD, a district attorney, and Judge Carter, who owed me for reviving his vintage Corvette. I called Lisa, the mom from the crash, who was fighting her insurance over her totaled SUV. "Marcus, Karen's blaming us for speeding," she said. "My kid's traumatized, and I'm out $15,000. Mr. Patel's daughter, Priya." Texted, "Dad's bills are $12,000. The HOA as ghosting us." We were all targets, and Karen was untouchable lore, so she thought. I met Lisa and Priya at a diner. Showing them the 3 a.m. footage, Lisa's eyes widened. "That's Karen. She'll fine me $200 for my son's skateboard last month. This is revenge." Priya, a paralegal, nodded. She cited Dad for his vegetable garden, called it unsightly. "We need to fight back." We formed a tight alliance, pooling what we had. Priya dug into state law. Unpermitted road changes causing injury could mean felony charges. Lisa found a Karen email from last year, ranting about speeding newcomers after a board member's car was scratched. I backed up my footage to 3 drives, paranoid after that threatening call. "Drop this, or your shop's next." I didn't recognize the voice, but it reeked of Karen's desperation. By Tuesday, the speed bumps were gone, yanked out overnight, leaving drill holes in the asphalt. Karen was covering her tracks, but my footage was already with Officer Vargas at the Franklin PD. Priya filed a complaint. And the group chat rage neighbors posted photos of the missing bumps, demanding answers. Karen's response: "The HOA removed the bumps due to feedback. We're cooperating with authorities." Cooperating? No, she was scrambling. Nate called with a lead, a hardware store clerk who sold concrete slabs to a woman matching Karen's description. If I could get a receipt or store footage, it'd nail her. As I headed to the store, an HOA email announced another emergency meeting tomorrow to address resident misconduct. Karen was gunning for me, and my dashcam was my only shield. But was it enough to stop her before she ruined us? The anonymous threat dropped this. Or your shop's next echoed in my head as I stepped into the HOA's emergency meeting. My dashcam footage tucked in my pocket like a loaded gun. Karen Voss thought she could pin her illegal speed bump. Disaster on my reckless driving and bully me into silence. But she didn't know I was building a case that would turn her HOA throne into a prison cell. My name's Marcus Reed, a mechanic from Franklin, Tennessee. And this is how I went from Meadowbrook Estates, scapegoat, to the guy who outsmarted a tyrant with a $50 camera and a fire in my gut. The community center was a tinderbox. 60 plus. Residents crammed in, their faces a mix of anger, confusion, and exhaustion. Karen stood at the podium, her gray curls pinned tight, her pastel cardigan a mask of innocence. A projector screen behind her glowed with Meadowbrook's Safety Crisis, a title that twisted my stomach. She'd spent the day poisoning the group chat, claiming I'd sped over her approved speed bump, caused the 5-car pileup, and racked up thousands in legal fees. My sister Tanya was home, her fractured arm in a cast, while Chloe stayed with a neighbor to dodge the drama. I gripped 3 USB drives with my dashcam footage. Paranoia had me backing it up obsessively. Lisa and Priya, my allies, sat nearby, our coalition tense but ready. The room felt like a courtroom, and I was on trial. Neighbors eyed fixed cars, 4 Mrs. Carter with her minivan. Jake with his pickup voided my gaze, swayed by Karen's. Lies. Karen launched her assault with a voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Good evening, Meadowbrook," she said, clicking to a slide showing my Chevy in the pileup, ripped from my group chat post. On April 12th, Marcus Reed's reckless speeding caused a chain reaction crash, injuring our neighbors and costing the HOA $20,000 in damages. 20 grand. She was inflating numbers to scare everyone. The slide showed the speed bump, now with fake reflective tape that wasn't there during the crash. These traffic calming measures were installed legally to curb speeding. She lead her eyes, locking on me. Mr. Reed's baseless accusations are dividing our community. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others glaring at me like I'd personally wrecked their cars. Her ally, Diane Holt, an HOA board member with a pinched face and a Holt Landscaping business card, stood up. "Marcus endangered us all," she said, her voice sharp. "I move we fine him $5,000 for violating safety bylaws and hold him liable for all repair costs." $5,000. My shop was bleeding cash, and Tanya's hospital bills were already at $10,000. A fine like that would sink us. Karen piled on, her smile venomous. To prevent future chaos, the HOA is partnering with Holt Landscaping, Diane's company, to oversee all road maintenance. They'll install permanent city-approved speed bumps next month. Holt Landscaping, the same outfit that pocketed $10,000 in consulting fees last year. This wasn't safety, was a cash grab, and I was their scapegoat. The room felt suffocating. Mr. Henderson, who I'd tuned a lawnmower for, whispered to his wife, "Reed's trouble." A mom I'd helped with a flat tire last summer shook her head at me. My hands clenched, but Lisa nudged me. "Stay cool, Marcus. We've got this." Then Karen dropped a bigger bomb. "Mr. Reed's slanderous claims have forced us to take legal action. Our attorney, Carl Webb, is preparing a $25,000 defamation suit to protect our community's integrity. A lawsuit? I could wipe out my shop, my house, everything Tanya and Chloe depended on." Diane smirked, adding, "I propose we lien Mr. Reed's property until he pays all fines and stops his disruptive behavior." A lien, that was a death sentence for us. I stood, my voice cutting through the tension. "Karen, those speed bumps were unpermitted and unmarked. My dashcam shows you installing them at 3 a.m. No permits, no warning. They caused the crash, not me." The room went still. Karen's smile twitched, but she fired back. "Mr. Reed, your footage is inadmissible, likely doctored. You were cited for speeding last year, hardly credible." Speeding. That was a dismissed ticket for 32. In a 25, a favor for fixing a cop's radiator. She was rewriting history. Priya stood, her paralegal confidence shining. I filed a doc complaint. Tennessee law requires permits for road modifications, even in HOAs. "Where's the documentation?" Karen's eyes narrowed. "We're fully cooperating with the city, Ms. Patel. Sit down." But cracks were showing. Mr. Patel, still recovering from his heart attack, stood shakily. Marcus didn't speed, I was behind him. "That bump nearly killed me. Karen, you've dodged every question." His daughter Priya gripped his arm, proud but worried. Neighbors whispered, some pulling out phones to check the group chat where I'd posted about the 3 a.m. installation. Lisa raised her hand. "I move we audit the HOA's finances, including payments to Holt Landscaping, and I want Marcus's footage shown." The crowd split, half cheering for Lisa, half booing her. Down. Karen banged her gavel, her voice shrill. "This meeting is for solutions, not accusations." She pushed her Holt Landscaping plan, but the room was turning. Mr. Patel's words had weight, and Priya's challenge rattled Karen's allies. Karen adjourned the meeting, storming out with Diane trailing like a loyal dog. Her glare at me was pure venom, promising war. That night, the backlash hit like a freight train. Someone keyed my Chevy, carving snitch into the hood with a jagged scrawl. The group chat erupted with anonymous accounts, probably Karen's cronies calling me a liar who'd faked the footage to dodge responsibility. "Reed's a thug," one post read, stinging with a racial edge that wasn't lost on me. Tanya's bills climbed to $12,000, and her landlord sent a 30-day eviction notice citing missed rent. Worst of all, Chloe came home in tears, her backpack torn. Diane's daughter and her friends had cornered her at school, calling Tanya a cripple and me a deadbeat who wrecks cars. Chloe's voice broke as she asked, "Uncle Marcus, are we gonna lose our house?" I held her, my heart splitting. Tanya, doped up on pain meds, overheard and cried, "Marcus, this is my fault. I dragged you into this. Just pay the fine." Her guilt crushed me. She'd raised me, worked herself to the bone, and now felt like a burden. "No, sis," I said, my voice firm. "Karen did this. She hurt you, scared Chloe, and she's not stopping. I'm ending this. But doubt not at me. My shop was. One bad month from closing, and a lawsuit could bury us." I almost caved, ready to eat the $5,000 fine and beg for mercy. Then Lisa texted, "Meeting at my place. We're not done." Priya and Mr. Patel were in, and Nate was bringing a lead. Their fight pulled me back from the edge, at Lisa's. Our coalition grew 10 neighbors now, including Mrs. Carter, Hood. Been fined $300 for her unapproved porch swing, and Jake, the college kid from the crash, who hated Karen's $150 fine for his noisy truck. Nate brought Joey, the hardware store clerk, who'd sold 5 concrete slabs to a woman matching Karen's description. She paid cash on April 11th, 2 p.m., Joey said, showing grainy security footage of Karen in her cardigan loading the slabs into a Holt Landscaping truck. Said it was for community safety. Looked shady. Nate grinned. "That's felony fraud, Marcus, using HOA funds for illegal bumps." Priya dropped another bomb. She'd accessed an old HOA email server legally. She found a thread between Karen and Diane. Karen wrote, "Newcomers like Reed are ruining Meadowbrook. The bumps will teach them respect." Diane replied, "Holt Landscaping's ready to cash in once we secure the contract." It was a conspiracy, and we had them cold. I took the evidence too. Officer Vargas, my cop friend, who owed me for rebuilding his Mustang's engine. This is airtight, he said, watching the dashcam clip. Tennessee's Title 55, Chapter 8. Unpermitted road mods causing injury is reckless endangerment. A Class E felony. Your footage is admissible, time-stamped, unedited, clear chain of custody. He cautioned me about Carl Webb, Karen's lawyer, who had buddies in City Hall. Webb's a shark. He'll try to bury this. Get more evidence. I dove into state law myself, confirming Vargas's read. The speed bumps violated DOT standards, and Karen's misuse of $3,000 in HOA funds added theft charges. My dashcam's night vision met Tennessee's evidence. Code Karen couldn't claim it was doctored. Priya found a kicker. The HOA's insurance policy had a clause voiding coverage for willful misconduct. If we proved Karen's intent, the HOA could be liable for millions, and she'd be personally on the hook. Our coalition met nightly, plotting at Lisa's dining room table, surrounded by coffee mugs and kids' toys. Jake hacked the group chat's anonymous accounts, tracing one to Diane's IP address petty. But it proved her dirty tactics. Mrs. Carter brought HOA meeting minutes showing Karen had vetoed a resident vote on road changes last year. Calling it unnecessary. Mr. Patel, still frail, insisted on speaking at the next meeting. Karen nearly took my life. I'll tell everyone. Lisa got 25 signatures for an audit petition, and Nate learned Holt Landscaping was drowning in dead Diane. Needed the road contract to avoid bankruptcy. Karen's not just a bully, I said. She's running a scam, and we're her pawns. The group nodded, fired up but nervous. We were taking on a machine, and Karen had connections we couldn't match. The emotional weight was crushing. Chloe stopped drawing, her sketchbook untouched, scared her mom would lose their apartment. Tanya's pain meds left her foggy, and she apologized daily as if her injury was her fault. I wasn't sleeping, jumping at every creak, expecting Karen's next hit. Then it landed, an HOA letter signed by Carl Webb, demanding I cease slanderous accusations or face a $25,000 lawsuit with a city council member CCD for intimidation. Webb's letterhead screamed money, and 3 coalition members bailed, terrified of legal fees. I called Vargas. Webb's bluffing, he said. Your footage is gold. File the police report now, and we'll raid Karen's office. Priya. Warned, she's been shredding documents at the HOA office. We need to act fast. I spent hours at my shop, rewatching the dashcam clip, checking every frame. That's when I spotted a rear cam angle, showing the Holt Landscaping trucks. License plate during the 3 a.m. installation, tying Diane directly to the crime. It was registered to her company, not the HOA. The legal pieces were falling into place, but Karen was moving faster. Lisa texted, Karen's called another meeting tomorrow. She's got a city inspector to swear the bumps were temporary and blame you for the crash. If she sold that lie, my footage might not sway the crowd. We needed to strike first, publicly. With every neighbor watching, the plan was bold but risky. Crash the HOA meeting with the dashcam footage. Project it for all to see, and hand the police report to Vargas's team, waiting outside. Priya would present the emails, Lisa the audit petition, and Mr. Patel would share his story. But Webb was a wild card. He could spin our evidence as manipulated or bankrupt us with countersuits. If we failed, Tanya and Chloe could lose their home, and my shop might fold. As I burned a final copy of the footage, my phone buzzed with another anonymous text. You're out of time, read. Karen was circling, and I was betting everything on a cheap camera. Could I outmaneuver her before she destroyed us? Attain Marn? Text, you're out of time. Read felt like a knife as I walked into the final HOA meeting. My dashcam footage ready to torch Karen Voss's reign of terror. She thought she'd bury me with a rigged city inspector and a $25,000 lawsuit. But she didn't know my $50 camera had captured her every move, and I was about to turn her speed bump scam into a viral prison sentence. My name's Marcus Reed, a mechanic from Franklin, Tennessee, and this is how I dismantled a Meadowbrook Estates tyrant, saved my family, and made speed bump Karen the internet's favorite meme. The community center was a pressure cooker. 70 residents packed shoulder to shoulder, the air thick with tension and the faint whiff of Karen's lavender perfume. She stood at the podium, gray curls immaculate, her cardigan a shield of fake innocence. A projector screen glowed with restoring Meadowbrook safety, a lie that twisted my gut. My coalition, Lisa, Priya, Nate, and Mr. Patel, was spread. Through the crowd, eyes locked on me. Tanya was home, her arm in a cast, with Chloe at a friend's to avoid the chaos. I clutched my laptop, loaded with the Dashcam clips, hardware store footage, HOA emails, and the rear cam's license plate shot. 3 USB backups were in my pocket. Carol's lawyer, Carl Webb, was a snake, and I wasn't taking chances. Neighbors whispered some glaring at me, swayed by Karen's smear campaign calling me a reckless driver. I was the villain, but not for long. Karen opened with a voice dripping with crocodile tears. The April 12th pileup was a tragedy caused by one residence. Negligence, she said, her eyes boring into me. Marcus Reed's speeding over our temporary speed bumps injured our neighbors and cost the HOA $20,000. She clicked to a doctored photo of the bump, now with fake reflective tape that didn't exist during the crash. These measures were compliant as confirmed by our guest, City Inspector Tom Grayson. Grayson, a nervous man in a rumpled suit, stood. The HOA's bumps were temporary and met city standards. The crash was driver error, not design. My blood boiled. My footage showed no tape, no permits, just Karen's trap. She piled on. Mr. Reed's slander has forced us to act. Carl Webb has filed a $25,000 defamation suit, and we're pursuing his eviction. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Diane Holt, Karen's bored lackey, stood, her Holt landscaping card tucked in her pocket. Marcus endangered us all. I move, we lien his property and ban him from Meadowbrook until he pays all fines and damages. A lien could bankrupt me, leaving Tanya and Chloe homeless. Neighbors clapped Mrs. Henderson, whose brakes I'd fixed. Among them, but others looked uneasy, whispering about the group chat where I'd posted the 3 a.m. footage. Lisa nudged me. It's time, Marcus. I raised my hand. Karen, I have evidence that proves you're lying. She tried to silence me. This isn't your platform, Mr. Reed. But Mr. Patel stood, his voice frail but fierce. Let him speak. He saved my life. Lisa and Priya echoed, and the crowd roared. Show the evidence. Karen's jaw tightened, but she gestured to the projector. Her smile a mask of control. I plugged in my laptop, hands steady despite my pounding heart. On April 12th, Karen installed unpermitted speed bumps that caused a 5-car pileup, I said. My dashcam caught everything. I played the 7:42 a.m. clip. My Chevy hitting the unmarked concrete slab. Skidding, then the chain of crashes. Lisa's SUV, Mr. Patel sedan, Jake's pickup, a minivan. You could hear Chloe's scream, Tanya's gasp. The crowd gasped too. I switched to the 3:17 a.m. footage. Karen and a Holt landscaping truck bolting the bump down. No permits, no cones. The rear cam zoomed on the truck's plate registered to Diane's company. This is Karen, I said, freezing her cardigan-clad figure. And here's her buying the slabs. The hardware store video rolled, showing Karen paying cash on April 11th. Neighbors shouted, liar and thief. I kept going. Karen used $3,000 of our HOA dues for this scam, I said, projecting the budget line item. And here's why. I showed the email between Karen and Diane. Newcomers like Reed are ruining Meadowbrook. The bumps will teach them respect. Diane's reply about Holt Landscaping's contract drew boos. This wasn't safety, it was a grift to fund Diane's failing business and punish anyone who stood up. The room erupted, neighbors yelling at Karen, her allies shrinking. Lisa stood. I've got 25 signatures demanding an HOA audit. Karen's been stealing from us, Priya added. The doc confirmed the bumps were illegal. Karen faces felony charges for reckless endangerment. Mrs. Carter, a coalition member, waived her fine for her porch swing. You fined me $300? Karen, where's that money? Karen's facade cracked. This is a setup. That footage is fake. Her voice was shrill, her hands shaking. Then came the moment that broke her. The door swung open and Tanya walked in, arm in a cast, Chloe. At her side, escorted by Nate, Tanya took the mic, her voice raw but steady. Karen, your bumps broke my arm. I can't work, and my daughter's scared we'll lose our home. You hurt us, and you didn't care. Chloe, eyes red, stepped forward. Kids at school bullied me because of you. My mom's not a cripple. And my uncle's not a liar. The crowd fell silent, then exploded in cheers. Neighbors hugged Tanya, some wiping tears. Mrs. Henderson, who'd clapped for Karen, approached me, whispering, I'm sorry, Marcus. I didn't know, Kieran stammered. I didn't mean, but the room drowned her out with shouts. Of Rezine. I played my final card. Tennessee's Title 55. Chapter 8 makes unpermitted road changes a Class E felony when they cause injury. My dashcam's admissible, and the police have it. On cue, Officer Vargas and 2 cops entered, tipped off by Priya, Karen Voss, Diane Holt. You're under arrest for reckless endangerment and fraud, Vargas said, cuffs gleaming. The crowd parted as Karen was led out, her cardigan askew, screaming, This is a conspiracy. Diane followed, head bowed, her Holt Landscaping dreams in tatters. Ex-users in the back live-streamed it with hashtag SpeedBumpKaren and hashtag HOA fail trending by midnight. Reporters, alerted by Lisa, snapped photos, and Karen's red-faced arrest became Franklin's top story. The irony was pure poetry. As Karen was cuffed, Nate texted, her Lexus is getting towed parked in a no-standing zone she made. Karen, who'd fined 30 neighbors for parking violations, watched her car hauled away under her own rules, the tow truck's lights flashing like a victory lap. The crowd outside cheered. Some filming for ex-Holt Landscaping folded days later. When the city audited their books, uncovering $50,000 in fake invoices and kickbacks to Karen's allies, Diane's house hit the market, unsold, her name mud. Karen faced 7 years for endangerment, fraud, and theft, her savings drained by Carl Webb's fees. Her $25,000 suit against me was tossed when my lawyer, Judge Carter's cousin, who I'd fixed a Corvette for, countersued for slander, costing Karen $10,000 more. The HOA crumbled. A 94% vote dissolved the board, citing Karen's gross misconduct under a bylaw Priya found. Lisa was elected president, rewriting bylaws for resident votes on all road changes and full financial transparency. The city took over Meadowbrook's roads, banning rogue modifications. My shop exploded with business neighbors brought cars in droves, calling me the Dashcam guy. Tanya's $12,000 hospital bill was covered by a community fundraiser with Mr. Patel's daughter organizing. Tanya returned to the ER, her arm healing, her smile back. Chloe rediscovered her sketchbook, drawing cars with Uncle Marcus. In bright colors, the crash victim's Lisa, Mr. Patel Jaquan settlements from the HOA's insurance, which voided coverage for Karen's willful misconduct. The story went viral on X. Karen's arrest video hit 3.5 million views, with memes of her cuffed beside her towed Lexus captioned, "Speed bump Karen's last ride." Comments flooded in, "Mechanic 1, HOA 0, and dashcams are Karen kryptonite." Meadowbrook became a poster child for HOA reform, with news outlets citing our audit petition as a model. I didn't chase the spotlight, just kept fixing cars, helping Tanya raise Chloe, and sharing this to inspire others. If your HOA is pulling a Karen, get a dashcam, check your bylaws, and rally your neighbors. A cheap camera and some grit can fix more than a car. 2 months later, I hosted a car safety workshop at the rec center, named the Ella Reed Safety Day after my mom. Kids, including Chloe, learned about tire pressure and road hazards, laughing. As they inspected my Chevy's undercarriage, Tanya spoke, thanking the community for saving us, her voice cracking with gratitude. Mr. Patel brought samosas. Lisa unveiled a new playground plan, and Nate towed a junker for the kids to doodle on with chalk. Chloe hugged me, whispering, "You're my hero, Uncle Marcus." I thought of Mom, who taught us to fight for what's right. Karen thought she'd break us, but we rebuilt Meadowbrook stronger. If you're battling an HOA tyrant, the truth's your best tool, and a dashcam's a damn good start.